right, welcome to Two Seats, One Brain. I'm Em.
And I'm Jay, and we're a cozy queer talk show disguised as a late night radio show.
Yes, and tonight is our first episode of our Midnight Mailbox.
Yes.
And I'm so excited because we had 3 submissions, which is iconic.
Yeah, we were thinking we were going to have to come up with our own stories to share as like an example of what we were looking for. So we were really shocked to see 3 people write in for before we even had a show out. So
yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I did not expect that at all. And we're so pumped about this. So just as a reminder, our Midnight Mailbox is essentially where we share stories from our community. So you can really think of this as like a cozy like radio broadcast, but we're essentially trying to make the internet feel a little bit more human.
Yeah, so much needed in this day and age.
Yes, much needed. Okay, so tonight's first listener, Em, she wrote in about her childhood memories.
Oh,
and yes, so as a reminder, this week's theme question: what is an old memory of yours that you wish you could watch like a movie, and what genre would that movie be? So she said, when we were little, my sister and I would always play outside in the neighborhood or under the big oak tree in our backyard. I would love to watch us playing and learning about ourselves and our neighbors. Sometimes it seems like all I can remember is the negative energy in the house that we were trying to escape. I wish I could remember more of the little moments. As for the genre, that would be a drama, possibly Studio Ghibli style. And we love Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, we do. We especially love My Neighbor Totoro. Like, that scene reminds me of when they're, like, making the seeds grow into those, like, big trees. Yes. And it's, like, the soundtrack is, like, popping off. And such a good scene.
Oh, yes. They were, like, in a flow state. I love it.
Yeah. But that story in particular reminds me kind of a lot of the Studio Ghibli themes, which is that because they mentioned
escaping the negative energy.
And yes. I feel like that's a huge theme for Studio Ghibli movies, where it's like these children are experiencing these innocent things, but there's also like heavier themes going on.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of allowing children to take on really heavy themes, but it's in like such a beautiful, whimsical way, especially in My Neighbor Totoro. Mm-hmm. I feel like we don't really realize like how intense this, like her mom being sick is for her until you kind of put 2 and 2 together and see that that's when the big, what is it called? Totoro, yeah. appears.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I love this. I love this story. It reminds me of my sister, and it's just really sweet. And I love the idea of like watching like your child memories through the lens of like a drama.
Yeah, especially because it sounds like this was like a happy moment in maybe a tense household. So getting to like watch yourself experience those like good moments in maybe a more stressful childhood, like that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think so too. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that with us.
Yes.
I'm glad that you were able to find like small, nice moments that you remember with your sister.
Yeah, and I think it's a common memory, or I think it's a similar experience for a lot of people. They don't have a lot of memories of their childhood, mm-hmm. or they struggle to find these good memories. And so when you find one, you kind of cling to it. And I can totally relate to that.
For sure.
It's tough. But yes, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
We
what did they say
it.
They go by? Just so you know, too, we ask for a name to go by, so we're not just like doxing people.
Right. You can always be anonymous, but this was from M tonight, so
awesome.
Thanks, Em.
Okay, so our next listener is from Mallory, and they have a story about coming out to their mother.
Love it. That's a classic.
Yeah. We have this week's theme question. What is an old memory of yours that you wish you could watch like a movie, and what genre would that be? And Mallory answered that question, so let's get into it. They said, love this question. Years ago, I had decided that I would not come out to my family until I had found my person and community. I didn't feel like rocking the boat until I had found my safe shores with my person. I made this decision based on how I knew they would feel about it, and based on the fact that I had a brother who came out and went no contact with everyone but me. Fast forward a few years after that, and I found the wonderful woman who is now my wife. Time to rock the boat. In the last year or so, my mom had expressed to me how much she regretted how she didn't stand up for my brother and felt coerced by the men in the family to hold ground on certain boundaries she didn't agree with. I decided my mom is who I wanted to tell. I took her to lunch and we were talking and I finally just said it. I felt like my breath had left my body and I waited to see how she would react. Her first words, "I was so scared you'd be alone." She was relieved. Never expected that reaction. She expressed that she was happy I found someone who is kind to me. Then, yes, there is a then to this story, she started talking about her friend Betty from college. Plot twist. I listened. She and Betty were very close, and Betty just happened to be a lesbian back in the 70s. She told me about their friendship and about how her mom one day made the comment to her that she talked about her friend like she was her boyfriend. How that scared her so much, and she broke off her friendship with Betty. She even said, "Your dad almost lost me at that time." I remember being a kid and my dad talking about a time when he almost lost my mom in college. I felt like my mom was coming out to me too that day. I even showed her a picture of my now wife, and you know what her response was? "Ooh, she is prettier than my Betty." My Betty. I came out to my mom that day, but I felt like I helped my mom open that door and show me something about herself she hadn't taken out in years. What I want to watch is a movie about my mom and Betty. I love that I exist and I still love my family, but I am so sad that my mom didn't feel free to choose what I get to now have with my wife. I would love for the genre to be lighthearted, but we all know it would be a romance drama. I just ask for an alternate ending. Wow, this is great. I also want to watch that movie.
Wow, yeah, that like gave me chills. The thought, such a selfless, like beautiful thought, first of all, to like want to watch this movie about your mom's experience because you have such like empathy for her.
Yeah, like even if it meant like you an alternate timeline where like you don't exist, like you want to see what would have happened if they could have been together. Like that's so touching.
I just think that's absolutely like just such a selfless, like sweet response to that.
Yeah, and I agree, like we would all want it to be lighthearted, but every lesbian movie is a heavy romantic drama that ends tragically, so I totally get that.
Yep, 100%. If you know any lighthearted lesbian movies that don't make you super sad, let us know, please, because we would absolutely love a lesbian movie that didn't end in torment.
Gosh, please, that would be so nice.
Just anguish, just the longing. Ugh, it's crazy.
I thought it was interesting the part where the mom felt coerced about basically cutting off the brother, and like just kind of how sad that is, because I feel like that happens so much where like maybe one family member like has a problem with something and then like everyone piles in because it's awkward, and then you just like don't know what to do because then you don't want to be ostracized. Like I feel like that happens a lot in family dynamics.
Yeah, I mean it's really sad because all that says to me is that there's like a hierarchy and the mom isn't at the top of it, and obviously I reject any hierarchy that works like that, but also it's really sad that she had someone else decide whether or not she would accept her son and speak to her son. Like that's devastating. The regret that I would be filled with is immense.
I'm curious if the mom and son have a relationship now. I hope that they do.
I know. I hope that helped open the door. I mean, that's huge of this listener, honestly, to hold all of this in until the right person. And I totally get that. It was much lighter for me. I was like, I'll tell my mom when I date someone. And I didn't come out till I was 28, but I didn't date anyone till I was 28. So, but it wasn't even serious. It was just like, I'll do it as soon as, I was like, as long as I make sure I'm actually dating women, then I'll come out, as terrible as that sounds, because your sexuality is valid no matter how many people you've been with or who you've dated or what you've done.
Yeah, but I feel like that is so common. Like if you don't know how your family's going to react, you wait until you have a reason to say something.
Yeah. For me, it was like I needed to like validate that myself and dismantle my own internalized homophobia and overcome that. And then if I was bold enough to be dating people in public in the world, like I was like, okay, then I'll come out to my family. But I totally understand the line of logic of waiting till you have someone who you want to bring home to your family.
Yeah, make sure it's worth it.
Right.
So I think it's interesting too how like they obviously got into this somewhat at least romantic relationship, and it's funny how like your sexuality is so ingrained into you that a lot of times you don't even realize what you're doing. Like,
Oh, such a good
they were
point.
dating it was pretty much like that they were dating and they didn't even realize it until other people started observing it, and then they got scared, and it's just funny how natural it can be.
And we've had friendships that felt like relationships just
Yeah.
without like a certain component, a physical component.
Right.
But I think that is a very common experience.
Yeah,
And
well, because we knew that we had the capacity to have a romantic relationship with another woman, but a lot of the people we were friends with acted strange and didn't realize that they had that capacity, or maybe didn't want to have that capacity, and it can get weird.
yeah, I think a lot of people want that deep connection and they want to know what it's like to be loved by a woman because it's the greatest thing ever. But it sounds like Betty was totally her girlfriend.
Yeah, Betty sounds cool. I
Oh.
wonder if this listener's mom...
I wonder if Betty's out there.
Yeah.
Well, if she's still with the dad, like I don't think she can go find Betty now under these circumstances. I mean, obviously we promote Find Betty.
Hashtag find Betty.
Yeah, what's Betty up to? I hope she like is living her best life. Maybe like a Subaru van life or something.
Yeah.
I hope she knows a Home Depot like the back of her hand. I want to know about Betty. I don't know why I'm picturing like
That could be the sequel.
Mask
to the
Betty.
movie. Mask Betty.
It's probably not a Mask Betty. It's probably a Femme Betty.
You never know. But yeah, overall, this is a really beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I'm really glad that despite it being a bit nerve-wracking, your mom had an amazing reaction and that you guys had to have that, like, connection.
Yeah. This is a beautiful story. So this listener, I think they said we could call them Mallory.
Yes, so thank you, Mallory.
Thank you, Mallory. This is iconic. Thank you for sharing. Like, we're honored, honestly. And I literally got chills. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this next letter is a heavy one from an anonymous listener. They wrote a letter to their brother after coming out, and we're going to read it tonight. So this anonymous listener wrote in tonight, outside of our typical theme prompt. They just wanted to share something else entirely, and that makes us so happy. We love getting whatever you guys want to send in.
Yeah, just as a reminder, because we will have a weekly theme, but there will always be a spot for anything you want to share. We love the queer stories. It doesn't have to be queer. It can be anything you want to share. So if the theme doesn't speak to you, or you just have something that like maybe this episode made you think of, then drop it.
Yeah, send it in to the
It's
link in our bio. Yes, link in bio. But this anonymous listener wrote in an open letter to my brother. I came out to our deeply faithful family a couple of months ago. Shortly after, and while they were still trying to come to terms with that, you got arrested for possession and distribution of child porn.
Wow.
I just have one question. What does it feel like to have the support of the whole family? What does it feel like to have what you did come to light and our family move heaven and earth to support you? To care so deeply about your mental and emotional health while being processed and waiting for trial? What does it feel like to have your family come and publicly support you at your bail reduction hearing, to want to pull out loans to pay for your defense? What does it feel like to have the whole family care that you know that they all still love you, even behind a cell door? I want to know what it feels like, because I don't. What I know is how it feels to have our younger brother that I helped raise and saw through his darkest times tell me that I've changed and I'm not the same person. What I know is how it feels to tell him that I might not be in my beloved nieces and nephews' lives anymore, while he and our dad talk about how you've never done anything to make him worry about you with his kids. What I know is the feeling of knowing that our family will not stand with me at my wedding and will not contribute financially to it. What I know is the pain of slowly losing my family after 37 years of feeling the safety of being loved unconditionally. What I know is the helplessness of realizing that who I have been to them for 37 years was not enough to keep them from changing how they see me in a matter of months. I knew it was going to be a hard road once our family knew about me. What I never anticipated was to realize that I could have done any number of despicable things and still have their support. Unfortunately, what I did was finally love and be loved by a woman.
Wow. That's
Full
a
body
heavy
chills.
one. Yeah, I got chills too.
Oh, gosh. And this person agreed to let us share this, obviously, anonymously. And we're just so grateful. We love these stories. And this is obviously, it cuts super deep for us. I mean, we're lesbian women, and we've certainly met our fair share of obstacles.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, we are legally married. So
Yes.
this kind of struck a chord with us because we have noticed, not, this isn't a blanket statement, not everyone, but there have been people in our lives that have treated our marriage differently than maybe a non-lesbian marriage, and it's very hurtful. I don't understand how this person's family could protect someone who's attracted to children, but then you think being attracted to a consenting adult is wrong. Like, make it make sense.
Exactly. That is unbearable for me to fathom that they think that that is a forgivable offense. They really think that that's more disgusting, that that's more repulsive, that they can't be associated with that they can't understand that they're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's horrifying, really. I can feel the listener's pain in their words. Very beautiful writing.
Yeah, really beautifully written. And again, thank you so much for sharing. I'm like in awe that we had anyone submit anything and this early. And so I'm just really grateful. But yeah, I do want to say that even with them not being there at your wedding, like, that's obviously heartbreaking, and everyone has to process that in their own way. But we didn't have anyone there at our wedding, and that was intentional.
We eloped,
and it was the best day ever. We loved it.
Yeah, we eloped in downtown Chicago, did our vows on the lake. Like, it was so beautiful.
At sunrise, yes.
Yeah.
Went and got bagels, went to the courthouse.
Wait, went and got bagels, like, in our, like, you wore, like, a wedding dress, and
Yeah.
I wore, like, a suit, and, like, we got bagels dressed like that. It was honestly iconic. I loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing. And we took Teddy Bear, of course, our little Chihuahua.
But that was our choice, and I understand, like, if you, like, wanted a traditional wedding, and or not even a traditional wedding, if you just wanted people to be there, and for them to just, like, treat it like it's nothing, like, that's horrible.
It's heartbreaking. It's devastating, and I'm really sorry that you don't have your family's support.
Yeah. But you have the LGBTQ plus family.
Heck yeah, baby. Chosen family.
We support you.
That's what we're known for. And yes, you're a part of our community now, so thank you so much. I feel touched by it. This is exactly what I was looking for with, like, trying to post on social media now. It's just looking for community and feeling like this connection. It's so hard to not have queer people that you grew up with, to not have queer examples, to not, like, have queer friends. Like, we came from the South, and we
don't have any queer friends.
Yeah, like, hardly any queer friends.
And if you're in a friend group that relies on that dynamic of, like, boy-girl, it can be really weird.
Yeah. Yes, it can be very difficult to just not be accepted. I mean, it's just when everything is so gendered and binary and everything is a very particular way, you just kind of feel very left out and wonder where you're fitting into it. And yeah, it's hard to do that. And so we obviously have our own individual journeys, and we love to hear everybody else's, because it's important that we all remember, like, what we all could be going through, you know?
Yeah, and this wedding thing definitely struck a chord with us personally, too, because you had a family member, we won't share which family members it was, but it was basically, we went and stayed with them for Christmas a month after we got engaged, and I, like, cleaned my ring, because I was like, oh, there, because you proposed to me, and I was like, they're gonna want to see it, and we stayed with them for multiple nights, and they didn't bring it up, and I think we were just so distracted that we didn't have the time to, like, discuss it in the moment. But I remember it viscerally. We both got in the car, we shut our doors, and I looked at you and I was like, they didn't ask us about our engagement a single time. It made us question, like, are you actually homophobic when you're saying you're not, if you can't even, like, bring up my engagement?
If you feel uncomfortable talking to me about anything related to my relationship, like my proposal, like, I just don't understand. That to me says, at the very least, you have some underlying internalized homophobia or not internalized, but underlying subconscious homophobia. Like, they might not be aware that they're homophobic. Well, they aren't.
Yeah.
But they obviously are. If you're uncomfortable and it makes you feel weird, then, like, that's on you.
Something we heard in that situation was, well, we didn't know what to say. And I think that's absolutely crazy to say, because, like, here's a hint. You would say exactly what you would say to a straight couple. Congratulations. Do you have a date picked out? What's the plans? Are you having a wedding? Anything. Mm-hmm. All you have to say is congrats. You don't have to make a big deal if you don't want to. You don't have to, like, no one is expecting anything crazy, but to not bring it up, and in this listener's case, to not even get the support at all. It sounds like there's no acknowledgement, which is, like, the worst. I hate the cold shoulder stuff. It's really hard.
I don't know if this person ever got to send this letter to their brother, or if this was just the only version that they never kind of put it out there.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of letter that you write to throw out and never share with anyone. So
yeah, which I think is so therapeutic and great. And so this is exactly what we wanted for this community and our listeners. We process things by getting them out and getting our emotions out and talking to each other. And I think that that's just, like, the way to do it. And I hope that people feel like this is therapeutic, and we're grateful that people share their stories with us.
Yeah, we've been trying to practice, like, actually feeling our emotions and to, like you said, process it and let them move on. So we hope that this was therapeutic for our listeners and that they can kind of share in that with us.
Yeah. We can all process by just getting these stories out, having the reactions, feeling the emotions, and then moving on. And hopefully this listener can move on and have their chosen family, and it sounds like their partner.
Yeah.
That's good. Hopefully they can just focus on their wedding, and it can be a beautiful wedding. And we hope it's a beautiful day and a beautiful wedding.
Yeah, we hope that you have a beautiful wedding no matter who's there. And just remember, it's all about you and your partner that day. It's not about anyone else. So just don't let anyone take anything from you.
Yes.
Well, I think that's it for this show. We're going to drop a new prompt in the Midnight Mailbox tomorrow, every Monday. And as a reminder, we'll always have a theme each week to kind of get your juices flowing for if you want to participate but didn't have something in mind. But we also have a spot to drop whatever you're feeling. One of our stories was an other story, and then 2 of them were on the theme. So we loved hearing all 3 of those. So whatever you want to bring to us, bring it on.
Yeah, send it in, guys. We would love to hear it. We're so grateful for everyone who sends something and participates. And we'll have a new prompt tomorrow. Link in the bio. So until next time, guys.
Until next time.
See you next Sunday.
2 seats, 1 brain. Bye.